Hello and welcome to Penalty on the Podcast or Overtime, the weekly XFL and when it starts USFL predicting podcast. This week, predicting week 7 of the XFL 3.0. It's going to be an interesting week. This has been really interesting. The XFL has been interesting. I haven't been able to watch most of the games, but if I was able to watch the games, they've been quite interesting. So, if there are any new listeners listening, the way this is going to work is I'm going to look at last week's slate of XFL games and just talk about each game. And then I'll look at this upcoming week's slate of games and give predictions for each game for score, outcome, or like personal performances from players. So, it's going to be interesting. A few messages before we start. This is not gambling advice, and I totally mean that. I'm not responsible for any money that was lost if it was lost gambling on things said in this podcast. Also, this is an unsponsored podcast. If you would like to approach me with a sponsorship, my email is in the description. If you would like to contact me for any reason, my email is in the description. This podcast is available on YouTube and Spotify. If you would like to listen on the other platform, the link to this show on the other platform will be in the description. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. It's free, and you can always change your mind if you regret your decision. So, let's get started. So last week kicked off with Seattle Sea Dragons at Orlando Guardians, and the Sea Dragons won. It was a convincing win. The Guardians are, I think, right now the worst team in the league. They might be second worst, but I think they only have one win. They're the worst team in the league by far, or by one game. They're 0-6, and there's nothing good about them. And their quarterback, it's Paxton Lynch. Now I know why they're so bad, because Paxton Lynch is their quarterback. He is surprisingly seventh on the leaderboard or rankings for yards for quarterbacks. Still under 1,000, but surprisingly better than Jack Cohn. But now everything makes sense now that I know that their quarterback is Paxton Lynch. But they're terrible. The Vegas Vipers hosted the St. Louis Battlehawks and totally got their butts kicked. The Battlehawks, of course, won because they're good. The Brahmas beat the Renegades. This was the only thing I got wrong this week. And it's kind of surprising, but it was a fun game. The scoop and score was so good. Just ripped it out of the quarterback's hands and right into the end zone. That was a fun game to watch. And then Roughnecks at Defenders. I must imagine that this 37-26 game between the two best teams in the league would have been fun to watch. But the Defenders clearly are the best team in the league. And so now let's look at predictions for this week. So Seattle Sea Dragons at Arlington Renegades. The Sea Dragons are 4-2. The Renegades are 3-3. So the Sea Dragons are a better team. The Sea Dragons also have the best quarterback, the quarterback with the most yards and most completions of any quarterback in the XFL, Ben DiNucci, and he's got over 1,500 yards and 146 completions. And his completion percentage, it's not the best, but it's a 64% and he's got an 11-8 touchdown to interception ratio, but he does rank top of the yards, but he does turn the ball over. The Renegades are decent. Luis Perez is on the Renegades now. He has 906 yards on the year with 80 completions and a completion percentage of 65.6, which is better than Ben DiNucci. But his touchdown to interception ratio is 8-5, which technically the differential is 3, so it's basically the same for both. But the Sea Dragons just are a better team. They have the better running back slightly. And their receivers are some of the best in the league. They have Blake Jackson and Ja'Cour Pearson. So I predict Ben DiNucci throwing at least 2 touchdowns. I predict Ja'Cour Pearson catching at least 1. I predict Luis Perez throwing at least 1 touchdown and at least 1 interception. And I do predict Sal Cannella catching at least 1 touchdown. I predict the Seattle Sea Dragons win this, 24-18. There are some weird scores in the XFL that would never happen in the NFL, so yeah, 26-18. I'm locking it in, 26-18. Brahmas at Vipers. The Vipers don't stand a chance. They're as the second worst team in the league. The Brahmas aren't, they're not a great team or good by any means. They're 2-4, but they still have a chance to make the playoffs, technically, but they're not, they're not a great team. Their quarterback is Jack Cohn, and they're going against a team with Brett Hundley, who is definitely an improvement over Luis Perez. Jaquez Patrick, though, is a pretty good, he's a very solid rusher. Rod Smith is okay for the Vipers, but Jeff Badditt is a top receiver in the league. The Brahmas receivers aren't very good, apparently. I like Landon Akers. I don't think he gets targeted nearly enough. I think he's caught all his targets except one, which was just a terrible throw behind him in the win against Arlington. I would like to see him targeted more. But yeah, the receivers for the Brahmas aren't very good. So, he's missed 3 targets apparently. But Jaquez Patrick is a pretty good back. And again, it's the Vipers. It's the second worst team in the league, 1-5. So I definitely predict Jaquez Patrick rushing for at least 1 touchdown. And I don't know what to predict for quarterbacks because they have 3 quarterbacks and all of them are hurt or something like that. But I predict Fred Brown catching at least 1 touchdown from whoever. I do predict Jeff Badditt catching a touchdown though. But I definitely predict the Brahmas winning 32-16. DC Defenders against Orlando Guardians. Is it any question who's going to win this? It's the worst team in the league versus the best team in the league. And and the defenders are going to win. The Guardians are just horrible. The quarterback's Paxton Lynch. The defenders have Jordan Ta'amu. The defenders have the best running back in the league, Abram Smith, and Jordan Ta'amu is a top rusher above Jermaine Martin of the defenders. But the defenders do have Cody Latimer, who's a pretty good tight end, but Lucky Jackson for the defenders is good too. I predict that Jordan Ta'amu throws at least 2 touchdowns and rushes for at least 1. The Guardians are a joke, and I predict the defenders winning. Oh yeah, I also predict Abram Smith running for at least 1 touchdown, and I predict the defenders winning 31-10. 31-10. And Battlehawks at Roughnecks. I'm just going to say I think the Roughnecks are going to win this. But they both have good quarterbacks, AJ McCarron and Brandon Silvers. Their running backs, the running back for the Roughnecks is not good. Wonder, they've met before. I wonder who that is. Who won that match? They met before, I think. Oh, they have not met before. Wait. Have they played each other? Because I'm sure they've played each other before. I'm looking here because I am thoroughly confused. And so they have not played each other. Anyway, I do think that the Roughnecks will beat the Battlehawks because the Roughnecks are the better team. I do think AJ McCarron will throw at least 1 touchdown. I think Brandon Silvers will throw at least 1 touchdown. I think that Hakeem Butler will catch at least 1 touchdown. I think Brian Hill will rush for at least 1 touchdown. And I think that the Roughnecks will win this, but in a close one, 14-13. They're both pretty good teams. So, yeah. They're both pretty good teams. So I think 14-13 is a good prediction because they're really good teams. But yeah, so I get it now. So that's been Penalty on the Podcaster Overtime. Looks like this episode's coming out a little late. I hope you've enjoyed this installment of Penalty on the Podcaster Overtime. This podcast is available on YouTube and Spotify. To check out the other platform, there's a link in the description. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Help the channel grow. You can always change your mind. It's free. Takes a second. This podcast is unsponsored. If you'd like to sponsor this podcast, email in the description. If you'd like to contact me for whatever reason, email in the description. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this installment of Penalty on the Podcaster Overtime. You'll hear more of me next episode.